to go with my journey of what I've always used Gorilla Glue, the crystal clear for. It was not only another basis of adhesive to use to place my stones, but also to seal my stones. I know a lot of people would have a problem using it, but I would always tell them it's what you are using it with. If you're using it with a bottle or a syringe where it's coming out a lot, of course it's going to go over the stones themselves and mess that up. You would need a smaller syringe or a smaller tip, because it has to slowly pour out, because it's supposed to only go in the cracks. Excuse me. In the cracks to seal and let it dry like that, so that you can have that added benefit of the stones 100% not coming off, because they'll be locked in on the bottom, they'll be locked in on the sides. That's good. But then as the years passed, then I got to know UV resin. And also, all these tests are from UV resin. I don't use the other, the mixing one. I was so glad when I stopped having to use that, because that would give me a headache. But let's move on. But I wanted to learn more about not only storing my UV resin, because I've done a bunch of tests for the last, 3-4 years on how to store it. Because I know people, it's the automatic sentence of saying, oh, it just went bad. But my question was always, but how and why? Because if you look at where things are stored, when they're at the warehouse, inside the warehouse, the temperature is at a certain temperature. They don't turn yellow. Remember, a lot of resins are not even made here. They are made other places, China, blah, blah, blah. And then they're shipped here. So they are stored there, shipped here. Colors stay the same, no yellowing. They get put in the stores, they sit on the shelves, they don't get, but all of a sudden when we get home and we open it up and then we use it a few times and then we put it up and then it turns yellow. And then you go, oh, it's because air hit it. But my thing is, no, it's not just that. It's also how and where you store it. Now, I've had this, Lulu, remember when I showed you this? I put this inside of here November 1st. I always date my tests. And I know you go, well, why would you put it in there? Well, because this is UV resin. UV resin that is still crystal clear. Now let's talk about how. Now, even if you get your UV resin and it's in a dark bottle, you'll go, okay, I can just put that here. Actually, no, you can't. Because even though it's in a dark bottle, it can still have an effect from where you're storing it at. And this sounds crazy, but I will always tell you all, if you don't believe me, do your own test and you'll see what I'm saying. Say you have it in your bedroom or your craft room, right? But say you use it a lot, so the lights are always on, you have your curtains open, sun is streaming in, that room temperature, you ever go in there and be like, oh, it's hot in here? Yeah. All that has effect on these. And I also, like I said, I like to be able to store it, not just in here. Say I want to break this bottle down. And that makes actual sense. Like any of y'all, like my mom and a lot of people in my family, including myself, go get a big meat special, break that meat special down into different Ziploc bags and put it in deep freezer. You get it? So I don't like to just have this bottle full left like this. I like to actually have it broke down into things where I can be able to just go get my bottle, one, take the tip up. I don't know if you can see how it comes with that. And I also have posted the link to these bottles because they're very cheap. But they're cheap, but they're good because you're able to store resin, E6000 in there. They not only does it not turn, not only does it not get locked in there, it stays lucid and it doesn't turn yellow. But like I said, you have to store this correctly. Now where I store my UV resin, I store it where the temperature is at, it stays cool. And it sounds crazy, so that means, like say that cabinet that's next to your refrigerator, the one that's underneath it, at the bottom. If you actually put a thermostat, a thermometer in there and just leave it in there and check it, you'll notice that it stays cool for the longest period of time there underneath that. That's the best place you want to store your, it needs to be somewhere where sunlight is not going to hit it, or lamp light. Oh, none of that needs to. It needs to be stored, and it needs to be in a dark place. And that's why I had this. And this is, like I said, I've had this since November in here in this container. The container didn't become locked. It didn't. None of this. My UV is still loose, like I said, and I had it right in there. Look, and I had it in a nice dark place. And I would use it. Don't get this twisted. I would still open that top and I would use it, because that's the whole point of continuing to see how the consistency and how it would handle being in this bottle, and not just being stored, locked up, never used, because it's two, but also have one where you use it just to see if that changes it. And so no, it doesn't. So that means you can continue to use your UV resin and close it up and put it up and not have to worry about it turning yellow, as well as storing it in your big bottles and have it somewhere that is dark, it stays cool, and it stays with the color and not fade to yellow. So yeah, I know that this is probably the most boring video you'll ever see, but for a lot of people that have issues with their resin, and don't get me wrong, I used to buy resin in bulk. Oh, it would help if I took the camera up. I always forget to do that, sorry y'all. But it would, I would always buy my UV resin in bulk, right? And I would have it stored just like practically displayed. Y'all know how I used to even have my rhinestones just right there. I always, every day I open my curtains, whether I'm home or not, because I like it to be open and I like the dogs to be in it, but not realizing, because I'm thinking, oh, it's in a dark bottle, what could it hurt? Heat, you know, high temperatures, all that affects it. It's like, you know how you got to learn your own lessons. So like I said, this was just a little, the more you know about UV resin, how to store it. And like I said, I use my UV resin. I've done a bunch of videos with me sealing my stones with it. So like I said, with that awesome tip, the consistency does not come out fast. It does not gloss over my stones to mess them up. It actually goes where I need it to go at, in the little cracks. Right? And then I put that sucker on my spin bob, and then I turn my UV lamp on and I just let it do its thing. And I love that. I always say think out the box. People will tell you, say resin only is supposed to be used for like tumblers or cups. And I'll always say, have you ever, you know, did a little test to find out where did resin originate? It originated on cars, because that's what that gloss is. That's what they would spray on those cars. Yeah. Same thing. And they go, oh, that's not the same thing. Yes. Yes, it is. Learn what it is before you say what it can't be used on, and what it can be used on whatever you want it to be used on, as long as you understand how to use it on it. And not just on cars, like I said, on a whole bunch of stuff. You'll be tripping out the majority of what you never knew resin was beyond. That gloss, anything with gloss, glaze, all that, it has the ingredients of the resin. So just, yeah. So like I said, I just wanted to do that quick video showing that. Joe, check Messenger, because I'm going to have you messed up about something that I just did a comparison on and blew my mind. And I'm going to finish blinging this hat out, and then with my white hat, of course, I'm going to be using my gesso to prep my hat, like I always tell y'all. I'm going to leave this up for probably today, and then I'm going to move it over to my YouTube channel and my The More You Know, what is it, album? Okay, bye y'all.